businesses are seeking ever more creative ways to turn their beautiful ideas into meaningful impact. One may want to ask, how can startups be turned into investable ventures? Well, to do justice to the topic, we have at hand very vibrant young entrepreneurs who are navigating the changing currents of our economy and staying afloat. We have Echefu Samson Chidioze, the founder of Dat.
Echefu.
Hmm?
Echefu.
First, we have Echefu Samson Chidozie, the founder of Dato Sam's Recipe. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so
Dato
much.
Sam's Recipe. Does that have to do with culinary expertise? Is that a restaurant?
Both the business is registered both as a restaurant and also as a food processing. Yeah. So and
Okay.
then the name is derived from the Dato is means chief from the Malaysians. It's a Malay word, and then Sam. My name is Samson, and then the recipe is my expertise.
Okay, we'll be coming to that in a moment. We also have Chuku Ifeanyi Chuku, an agribusiness consultant at IFEX Global Agri Solutions, and is also the co-founder of Farm Easy, which is a farm management and market app development specialist. When you say Farm Easy, can farming actually be easy?
Yes, farming can be easy with
It can-
structure.
With structure?
Yes,
Okay, it goes beyond just the farmer holding the hoe and tilling the ground.
exactly.
All right, we'll come back to that in a moment. Now, these progressive Nigerians are very innovative, and they also have their own businesses, as we've already established, which in itself can be quite challenging considering our current economic climate. Well, now the Nigerian government says the nation is open for business and is investor ready. Just how ready are Nigerian owned businesses for global attention and investment? Now, gentlemen, once again, welcome to Voice of Nigeria. I'll start by giving each of you just a minute to say something as regards the topic which we have before us today, that is positioning youth-owned businesses to be investor-friendly. Now, considering the fact, of course, you have your own business, if I'll start with you, what does it mean for... I'll start with you, Ifeanyi, sorry. I'll start with you. What does it mean for a youth-owned business to be investor-ready? Especially considering how, currently the Nigerian government has been globetrotting, going around the world, attending various fora, telling the world Nigeria is ready for business. Come and invest. Is our Nigerian businesses, especially businesses run by youth like yourselves, are they ready for foreign investments?
Yes, thank you for that question. And, one of the advocacies that I have always spoken out for is that youth must structure their business. When you say a business is investor ready, you're talking about structure here, because no investor wants to put their money where they are not sure. So if you say your business is investor ready, it means you have put every structure in place, from the business structure to the financial structure to the operational structure. And most times, investors want to know the track record of what you have done and how they can benefit from what you are doing. And that's investment, because an investor is investing, he's putting his money, his expertise, his time, his energy into whatever you're doing, and he expects returns on investment. So if there is a track record, then he can invest. So when in that simple note, if you're talking about your business being investor ready, it means your business having structure, making sure that there is a track record of what you're doing and there is an output for what you're doing.
We usually hear the word structure when it comes to politics. Political parties saying, what structure you do have the structure to win the elections. But that's an interesting one. Also coming to you, Sam.
Well, for me, I always use a word. I think I learned it from the military. So position yourself always. So with the youth, I believe, are lacking in that aspect. I wouldn't say all. So it's one of the reasons why I'm motivated to push and also work in line with those who have like minds. Why? Because we need ambassadors. If you go to the social media today, most of the businesses that are there were not the kind of businesses that made people become, millionaires and billionaires. Even though we have a change in time and advancements in technology, but we still have to hold on to some ancient practices. So I believe the youth need to position themselves in a way that, for example, let's use the Americans. The Americans position themselves, and that has held an economy for over 250 years. And so, but here in Nigeria, we are still struggling with basic democracy. We are still struggling to stay afloat, in academia and everything. If you go to some high institution, you find out that even the young ones are not really interested in education. I come from the East, and most of the people I studied with in Owerri, I went to a Federal University of Technology. They are not doing anything related to what they studied. If you even find yourself in the Federal University of Technology, same thing. Then business admin. I also had the opportunity to study a bit of business admin abroad. And I found out that the people who come to study business admin as young persons were already running business or had family business that they want to come and get basic academic knowledge or administrative knowledge for them to run. So I feel there's a gap in that aspect. But if it's for the Nigerian youth being ready for business, I think we are ready. Like my brother just mentioned, structure. And structure, and then I keep using the word I learned from Ifani, leadership. A lot of young Nigerians need to work on the area of leadership. Leadership is not only when you're in a place of power, people worship you, people fall down on it. Leadership can be inside your house, in it, inside out.
It's an action.
So it's an action. So it's something that helps you and look ahead. A leader looks ahead. It's only the people who are followers that just want immediate gratification and everything. So it also boils down to business, whatever career, even academics.
Okay,
So I feel, yeah.
okay. So you've given us a bit of a rundown of
Yes.
how you what your inspiration from
Yes.
school. So tell us how you applied that inspiration to start up your own business.
Okay.
Because I understand now that you said we shouldn't hold on to the past, and there are
Yeah.
lots of course, we're very traditional.
Yes,
So give us a rundown of how you were able to break through those barriers to start your own.
Well, it
business.
was a collective effort. We post COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs or their source of livelihood. A lot of people found it difficult to venture into business or job. So we found ourselves volunteering. I and my colleague, Ifeanyi, we volunteered for organizations, NGOs, and that is where we broke into agribusiness. So it was a foundation for us, finding out that, these people sent money from their country to train us in something that our government or it's difficult to. It comes once in a while. Yes, we've benefited from the government, but they train us and they even equipped a lot of people by cluster formation and everything. So that built a foundation, and then among us, some of us picked this interest and kept on pushing, kept on going for conferences, kept on going for, and that's how we found ourselves. And then we started advertising our business, even though we've not started making money as big business.
Advertising by word of mouth.
Yes, but no, we advertise leveraging on social media, going for exhibitions. Some of these organizations host exhibition, even government exhibition. The one that Abuja Enterprise Agency held in last year, we were there. We exhibited our goods. We also faced the hindrances we mentioned earlier on. The NAFDAC people came to our stand and they were wondering, is this registered? These are hurdles, but we still faced it and we kept on pushing. And now we get consultants, offers. People come, okay, I want to see what you're doing, and then how we work with it.
All right, that's good. Quite interesting. Coming back to you now, he mentioned the post-COVID era. Definitely, that era hits. There was a lot of the economic shock from that era was
Yes.
quite significant.
Yes.
How did you manage to stay afloat after that?
During that time was actually when I fully started my own business.
Okay.
Yes, because IFES Global is the name. Then we have IFES Global Ventures. We have IFES Global Agri Solutions. That was when I ventured into agriculture. That was when I had to register the IFES Global Agri Solutions. Well, IFES Global Ventures started off as a logistics business. I own bikes, and because of movements, I had bikes going around taking goods from super, because then it was just the food chain that was like allowed to move the
During the
logistics.
COVID,
and-
yes.
During that
So
time.
I had this
People must
logistics
eat.
company, yes, I was taking it. But then I was partnering with somebody and I started thinking of how I could structure it. And then my wife, also good with confectionery, she started making pastries at home. And we started branding it. We were selling to neighbors because everybody was bored at home looking for something to do.
Yes.
So it was a good thing to give people good treats. So we're giving them good treats, from donuts to pizzas to cakes, cookies. And then I started thinking of it. Look at what this has done. And that was how we ventured into social media. And gradually I started learning I started going through materials, both physical learning, online learning, and started studying business because I noticed that, oh, if this happened and a lot of businesses are still staying afloat and making money, then there is something keeping them afloat. And that was when I noticed that they had structure. They had structure. They had people in different positions that were making these things work. So it wasn't choky. For example, some companies had their very techie people that even when nobody was on the field in the offices working,
At home.
their
Yeah.
tech people were busy making
Yes.
sure they keep people with content,
Yes.
making you know that their business is still running till after the COVID. And that was how, I started learning and learning and learning and building my businesses. And today we have Farm Easy, we have IFS Global Agri Solution, and there is a media company coming up. We're still looking to structure it because it's a partnership. Someone is already running it, but I'm looking to come in with equity. So we're still trying to, structure it and get it
So,
running.
the advice definitely is to find something doing with your hands. these
Yes,
days. You need
yes.
to be practical and
Yeah.
to apply. If not, you just fizzle out.
And learn.
And
Learning
learn,
is
constant
very
learning.
important.
Yes,
That's
yes.
one thing we the youths don't
Don't
do.
want.
Most people just feel like, oh, I've known it and I've known it all. You can't know it all. You must continue.
There's always something.
Times change, seasons change, policies change,
And you must
systems
adapt.
change. You must adapt.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's a good one. But I'll still stay with you for a while now. You've been talking about, you've mentioned the word structure more times than I can count now. And that seems to be key in ensuring that you validate your business idea before you put it out there.
Yes.
But what other advice would you give a young startup to position? Sam mentioned positioning.
Yes.
How would you advise a young startup to position themselves to ensure that this business can withstand whatever shocks that come, whatever changes can come up, whatever shocks might also be prepared for?
Yeah.
What advice would you give a startup?
Just like Mr. Sam mentioned, leadership. As a young person who is in business, leadership is very important. And when we say leadership, it's not a position, it's an action. First of all, it starts with your conviction, you knowing what you believe and what you do, you understanding yourself, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, and then leveraging on your strength, building your strengths, and looking for how people can help you, pad your weaknesses while you grow in it. And as youth, positioning yourself is just you picking a niche, learning it, owning it, and mastering it.
Yes.
Most times you see youth, we get confused. We move from one business to another. Today I'm doing this. I look in the internet. This person is making money from this one. I leave the one I'm doing. I jump to the next one. This person is making money. I leave it. I jump. No, you must find something, master it, be consistent. Yes, be consistent in it. Build it, learn, expand it, move as the time goes, use new technologies that are coming, keep building it, let people know it as your identity. For example, if I tell you who is Tony Elumelu, you just know him with something.
Yes.
You understand? And he's now a brand. In as much as he has businesses, he's a brand, and that's the way youth should position
Yes.
themselves. You see people running businesses and you look at them, oh, you are a farmer, and then you don't look healthy. How do you represent a farmer? You eat
You're
what
not
you
eating good,
produce.
yeah.
You eat good. You show people that yes, there is what I produce is value. You can't be selling tooth whitening solutions
And
and
your teeth is not
your
good.
teeth is brown.
Yes.
I won't buy it. But if you're using it and your teeth is white, you can now start convincing me. So you position yourself in that business, in your business, look like your business, carry your business, own it, learn and master it.
Be the business.
Yes.
Okay. That you've spoken so well. I was going to give Sam an opportunity also to talk about. You brought up leadership.
Yes.
So also I'd like to also hear your take on the delve deeper into the role of leadership today, and for startups and for businesses to be sustainable.
Well, for me, I think my number one advice to the young person in Nigeria is study. If you cannot study by the normal book, like the normal paper book, go online. ChatGPT is even making it more easier. Don't look for the quick fix, but just study, because one of my friends said that knowledge is expensive to get. So you don't think maybe you just sit in your house, balance, and watch Instagram.
Ignorance is even more expensive.
Yes. So you suffer more. And then we young persons, we should start looking at our other counterparts in other countries. I use an example with the places I've visited. If you go to, let's say, Thailand, you find a 30-year-old person driving a very nice car, like they are doing good. They already have 2 businesses. They are paying for an apartment or 2, renting. They are already ahead of us. But in Nigeria, a 30-year-old man is still struggling to, do basics. So we need to start thinking and looking outside the box. Okay, how do I break out from this? It's possible because most of the people who are ruling us were once civil servants or one government official or the other. They were not at the top, but they broke out and left their peers. So if you must position yourself, you must know that knowledge is the difference between you and the other person ahead. Even in the place of worship, the difference between a preacher, I wouldn't want to call it religion, but the difference between a preacher and the person listening is knowledge. And if you are listening without knowledge, you will not still understand the person. He will deceive you. That's where deceit comes in. So I feel we young persons should strive for knowledge. Most of the countries that we're looking up to, we're running to, we're jackpying to. Now, it's knowledge that kept them where they are. I read about the Scandinavians, and if you are a movie person and you watch some of the kind of movies like the Ragnar kind of Vikings and everything, you find out how these people use knowledge to penetrate and kept some of their ancient history, brought back history into the country. Because if you don't study your history, you won't know where you're going to, you won't know where your foundation is laid and where it's taking us to. For example, I like the fact that I just got married now to a northerner. And it exposes me to another. The traveling to the north exposed me to another. I said, these people have vast land, they have rivers. I thought, okay, whether you want to venture into business, whether you want to go into the academia, whether you want to go for, you must obtain knowledge. Yeah, so I think that's the number one thing. And then another thing I would advise the young person is that you can start from somewhere. Just the first day I did an exhibition, I spent only 15,000 naira. And that was before people coming to check my products. It was as if the product is, and I was
Publicity.
yeah, publicity, yeah, because it was an opportunity for you to show that you can do this thing. And then your conviction power, you should be able to convince people. I tell people, the Chinese, if you want to buy something from a Chinese, he might be eating now, he will drop his food because he wants to convince you. He's not interested in that food, he's interested in convincing you to buy that product. He sees you as a potential. So we have to build up all this knowledge, and then you cannot overemphasize that of leadership. If you don't have leadership mentality, you cannot be more than a mediocre. You still remain among the crowd. You understand? Even if you're trekking, sometimes you trek to the place of leadership. I told people that most of the places I've gone and done great things, spoken great things. I didn't go there with money. I go there sweating. But because of the leadership mentality, I'm building. I won't say I have it yet. I'm building. I can, upscale and do better, I think.
Okay, I'll come back to Ifeanyi about leadership. We're going to look into the various categories where leadership can come in to groom people from at least a young age. But I'll still stay with you, Sam. You mentioned ChatGPT earlier and knowledge. So let's talk about sources of the knowledge, where this knowledge can be attained. ChatGPT AI definitely is a source, but it can also be misleading.
Yes.
There are people who are not using it properly.
Yes, definitely.
Now, for those who have the genuine interest to learn, aside AI and the internet, what other sources do you think can be used to get this knowledge?
Okay, I hope I can use my adage. The Igbo man will say, "Onye ajụjụ a na-efu ụzọ." Somebody who asks question doesn't get missing. You always find a way. So you must keep asking. You must keep finding their ways. I mentioned books. Some people say, "I don't like reading books. It's boring. There's olden days." But the people who are running this world are still reading. So if they are practicing this thing for the past 2,000 years, 1,000 years, they are still reading hard books, and you're saying you don't want to read because technology came. And I tell them, if, for example, in a country like Nigeria where we have over 200 million, we don't have up to 30% of Nigerians online. No matter how we claim to be online, if you go to some states, some people are not. They don't have smartphone. They don't have access. Even in this Abuja, most of the people in the market, in Muslim market, for example, don't have access to smartphone. They use Nokia Touch and everything. So, but they can get knowledge. And then you go to maybe, let's say, the prayer house of the Muslim. You find somebody reading. He's still reading the hard book. And then you think he doesn't. He has knowledge. No matter how he wants to look at it, he has knowledge. He can even, if he goes to Saudi Arabia, he will survive more than you that don't know anything because he can speak Arabic. He can understand Arabic. So knowledge is something that you must hold on to if you want to be a leader. And I would like to give credit to my uncle who exposed me to somebody like Bola Ahmed Tinubu. My uncle was a politician, and then he used to talk about Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He liked him. So I started studying him. So when during the campaign, even though I didn't vote for him, but I understand that this man knows what he's doing. For the past 35 years, he has been very relevant in this country, and he speaks better English. So he didn't pick it on the ground. So I must give credit to such people.
I think that would be a good place for me to just to slow you down there and come back to Ifeanyi. But that still boils down to leadership.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to give an opportunity to talk about leadership at the various strata. So leadership, mentorship, basically, I think that's a better word to put it. Mentorship is very greatly needed these days. There are too many people out there on their own with no guidance, with no relevance, proper guidance there. Imagine, as he has said now, having someone like Bola Ahmed Tinubu mentor you. So
Yes.
where do you think mentorship comes into play in ensuring that Nigerian youth today are focused on their businesses, can actually stay focused? Because as I said, you said also there are lots of
Yes.
distractions.
A lot.
Where does mentorship come in?
When we speak about mentorship, it comes from the mentees. There are a lot of mentors already existing. Yeah, it takes you to understand, just like I said, positioning, you knowing what you want. Because you, first of all, in leadership, like I said, it's conviction. It's conviction. You have to be convinced. Just the way when it comes to religion, also, you have to be convinced. So that's the way leadership is. You be convinced about who you are, who you want to become. And when you are convinced about that, what you believe, you then move to passion. You start growing passion.
Yes, very important.
You start growing passion. You start, learning. You're looking out for materials concerning this thing that I am having this conviction about. Like when I got my conviction in Christ Jesus, I started reading scriptures. I
Yes.
started wanting to know more. I started listening to people. And because of that hunger, and it's written in scripture that those who hunger and thirst for righteousness,
Shall obtain.
he will fill them. So when you start having that hunger, that passion to want to learn, whether in religious, business, anything at all, you will start getting yourself. And in technology today, the algorithm will start feeding you with
What you
materials
desire,
and
yes.
what you desire. So what I will say is that as the mentee, look for mentors in what you do, because you are convinced. Now, like for example, there are people I listen to. Even if I go to their page and I see one like, I will be
I'll
on their
listen to
page
them.
listening
Yeah.
and learning. I'm not carried by that
followership
algorithm.
and all
Yes,
that.
I go look for them. I search for them. I go look for their materials on YouTube. I look for their handles on LinkedIn. I follow their articles. I read. I study. So it's in the place of the mentee to know your kind of mentors. And if you can't find them in Nigeria, thank God for technology. There is YouTube. You go, you look for them abroad. One of my mentors in leadership is Miles Monroe,
Miles
the
Monroe.
late Miles Monroe. And I followed him for a very long time, learning from him. Till today, I'm still listening to his material. But he's no
He's
longer
a
here
dead
with
man,
us.
yeah.
He's late, and also he's not in Nigeria. But his material is there online.
out
I
there.
look out for him. I learn from him. I also learn from other Nigerian mentors. One of my mentors, Dr. Emmanuel Sam, he will be having his National Leadership Arena second cohort tomorrow. I follow Dr. Linus Okorie. And then when it comes to the agri space, I listen to people like Dr. Akinwumi, that's the former chairman for agricultural development.
AFDL.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So follow those kind of. When it comes to business, I follow Tony Elumelu. I listen to him. I watch his events,
interviews and all.
his interviews.
Yeah.
So you must read, you must study, and like I said, it's in the place of the mentee to know his mentors. You can't say there are shortage of mentors. There are mentors. Even I myself, I am already a mentor to a lot of people. I have a lot of young youths who call me on daily basis.
Yes.
They want to learn, they want to understand. Some of them, I just send them to my social media if I already have an article on what they are asking, and tell them to go read and study what I have already posted. And when they finish, they have questions, they come back and I guide them. And you might not have access to one-on-one. Most people always believe that mentorship should be one-on-one. You must know the person. No, there is a place for the internet. You might not know some of these people. I've not met them, but then they have impacted in my life. So you must be passionate about what you want to do, be convinced about what you want to do, and look out for people who have gone ahead of you,
yes.
so that you can learn from their mistakes, you can learn from their experiences. Most times we admire the success of mentors, but the main thing we should look out for are their mistakes, their lessons, their experiences. Those are the things that will guide us, because most times they pour out themselves, and that is what mentors should know. As a mentor, you pour out yourself. There was one article I wrote where I said Africa does not lack knowledge or lack information. What we lack is documenting those information.
Yes.
The other day I
For
was
posterity.
I was having this thought, and I was like, oh, most of the things my father told me were actually things that I am reading now and feeling like I'm reading one big thing, but because he said it casually. He said it as my father in the parlor shaking his legs, and I felt like, oh, these are just words of one old man. But imagine he wrote books.
That was wisdom.
Yes.
And then Fela Duro Toye, his wife, says something. He said his children, because he knows that the man is not always at home, that he makes sure he asks the secretary, what event is my husband going for? And the children will go to those events.
And
Sit
listen
down
to their
and
father.
listen to their father
Yes.
as a mentor,
Yes.
not just as a father, so that they understand that people are benefiting from their father, and they also have that passion to benefit, because Jesus Christ already said it, that a prophet is not recognized.
So,
If you leave the man, the children might say, "It's our daddy, he's providing," and they will not know that this man is impacting in people's life. People are becoming better business people, better humans from what their father is teaching. So I think mentors should learn to pour out themselves. Don't hoard. Don't be a gatekeeper. Pour out yourself, and you'll be a great mentor.
That's well said. I mean, you're talking about being mentorship and looking for mentors outside the country, especially. Not to be limited within the
Yes.
country.
Yes.
That's excellent. I mean, that it also shows, like, of course, the president has been, like I said, mentioned earlier. He was a few weeks ago. He was in Abu Dhabi for the sustainability
Yes.
summit, and this also is a bit to ensure that Nigerian youth, Nigerian businesses
Can collaborate
are,
and do
collaborate
business.
and exposed to businesses
Yeah.
out there. So, I mean, I'll still stay with you, fine, before I come back to Sam on the same question. What do you think will be the takeaways from this for Nigerian youths and businesses for that summit? I mean, we're talking about a situation where some Nigerians are still trying to position themselves, still trying to get themselves organized,
Yeah.
and then the president has gone ahead to ensure that the infrastructure,
Yes.
from out there can also be well. Now, if those inside cannot take advantage of these opportunities now, what happens to them in the next 2-3 years when those who are ready have already taken advantage of it? So, coming from the sustainability week that just ended now,
Yes.
what do you think will be the takeaways for Nigerian youths and businesses?
For me, I would say just like you said, I've mentioned it a lot of times. Structure.
Again.
Structure. Structure. It's in fact, it's one
What
of
you
the
have
language.
on
I want
ground.
people, when people see me, I want you to remember the word. Once you see me, remember structure. Once you
Structure.
see me, remember structure. So what I'll say is, he has made this bilateral agreement. He has created this partnership, and it's because he has seen people who are ready. He knows that
There are
there are
signs.
people
There
who
are
are
signs that
yes. And I was listening to someone, and he said, "This is a Kairos moment for Nigeria. This is a Kairos
A
moment for
transformative
Africa.
time, yes.
Everybody is looking here, in as much as they try to ignore us in certain ways, make it look like they have their eyes here. And the reason for that is population. You need numbers. When China grew in their economic strength was when they knew the strength of their numbers. They focused first in their local market, and they started expanding it. And when the other world noticed that these people don't actually need us so much, everybody started coming to them to know, what are you guys doing to sustain yourselves? And they started picking things, and they started having this, intertrade. So the same thing is happening for Nigeria. There are a lot of talent springing up. There are a lot of business people, and these doors that are open is going to give more ease to those bottlenecks that are there before. For example, for you to export things before to all these Middle East countries was very difficult. You have to go through a lot of processes, and only very few people could do that. And when you go there, it's very expensive. But now, if you have very good products, have very good branding, you have tell your story properly, and have the necessary certifications and all, there are channels now for you to be able to export your products there. And both the African and the international market that need your products will buy from you. And it's very important now for us to key into these opportunities. So that's why, like I use the word structure. You don't have your business registered in the country where you're based, you don't have your CAC, you don't have bank accounts for people to track what you're producing, your expenses, your income. You must have that structure in place, and then go through those necessary bodies. I was in a CEO's hangout, and one of the director is in this is a new office that was established, but it's in technology and all that. He was speaking that there is a hub now for young people who are very good with technological skills to now start coming. They will be grooming them, they will be building, showing their expertise on how to put together small technologies, whether toy or equipment and all that, and they will be sponsoring them. Most people don't know those kind of informations. When they get out there, most people start tapping it. There will be quick access. For example, if you want to create some kind of technology and send out there, it might be difficult. But if you go through those kind of hubs and you learn through them, and you produce whatever you want to produce through them, and they love it, they will be the ones to take you out. I think they even took somebody out in one of those I think it was this, and the person got a seed funding of $1.5 million or so. Yes. So you can imagine if he had gone alone, it would have been difficult. But because he went through those channels, so we should not ignore processes. I know most times you want it fast, but then if you structure your business, you go through the process and you'll be able to get these things sorted out. And I think those structure, those processes are what Mr. President is trying to put in place. He's a very strict person. If you want to get anything from him, you must be wise up there. You must come correct, come with process, come with structure. In as much as anybody might say, "Oh, I don't like him or this," but if you notice one thing, he loves to put things in place. Like this tax he's putting in place is so that you can be traced. They will know if you are adding to the society, so that when you come for any benefit, they check your business, they check your profile. Okay, yes, you're putting in to the society, so we should be able to give you back. Yes. So if anybody who is saying I'm doing business and I want to ignore paying my tax, you are just defrauding yourself. You're putting yourself behind the development that is coming to us.
Okay, now let's still talking about the World Sustainability Summit, and I'd like to hear your take on that as well. Please go ahead.
Well, for me, I think it's the right time. Nigeria has held on to a tax law for 50 years that has not benefited us. So no matter how we want to look at it, we cannot deal with other counterparts in other countries because of the kind of tax laws we have. One of the things I would like to mention that this government did is stabilizing the currency. When I traveled abroad the first time, it was easy for me to swipe my card and buy as little as ice cream. But a few years later, it was blocked. So it became a hiccup, for the average Nigerian to trade, to do even down abroad to $200. You couldn't do it. You couldn't buy it. I could buy shoes abroad and send it to Nigeria, but now I couldn't do that since. Before, people survived by doing things with Alibaba. So as regards this agreement with this maybe Abu Dhabi, the government of Dubai, it's been there before. Before there was, Nigeria had some trade agreements with this country where Nigerians, I knew even one of my cousins lives in Dubai, they used to send things for easily. The business trading, most of these guys in banners here in Abuja, they buy most of their products from because of the tax, this in there. If you go to countries like Malay and you go to like a place they call Langkawi is a tax-free place. Malacca in the same country, so we have to start looking at that kind of structure. Even though we are building them, so where you come to United Arab Emirates, the prices of things in Dubai is different from the price of things in Abu Dhabi. It's different from the price of things in Sharjah, and so Nigeria have to start looking at all those things. So I feel this is like a foundation being laid by this government. And then another thing I keep telling people is that Nigeria is still one of the cheapest countries to live in. No matter how I want to look at it, just go to Togo, you find out that fuel is far more expensive, the housing is more expensive. So because we've gotten used to things given to us for free, we now feel any law that comes that shakes your source of eating, because most of these people is the food, and it's food that is their problem, food and drink. So once anything shakes the food that they're eating, they feel the government is not doing fine again, while life is beyond food and drink. And then that problem, I think
it's an essential.
It's very essential. It's the fuel we need. It's the fuel we need. I actually ate before coming here, and I'm going to eat again. And I think one of the things he's cutting off from Nigeria is, or especially the youth, is immediate gratification. Most Nigerians have gotten used to immediate gratification. You just got a job, 3 years later you want to become a millionaire. How much will be your salary? How did you? So you just want to be. So then the younger ones following are also looking at. They feel you got this job, 2 years later you bought a car of 50 million naira. Why your salary is 250? How did you save 50 million naira to buy this car? You're not doing business. So, but we are still in the business side trying to lure young person. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not a salary earner. I'm not against salary earners. Most of them are doing very fine, especially in Abuja here. But I feel if you really want to go into business, focus on business. If you really want to do salary, build a career, and then become the great among them. And then there's one adage, I don't know who said that, but I heard it from my uncle. He said, heights attained by great men are not by sudden flights, but they, while their companions slept in the night, were toiling upwards in the night. So if you want to attain great heights, just know that you must do something extra above your peers in the night. It's not in the daytime. Whether you're a politician, you're a pastor, you're a businessman, you must wake up in the night and do something different. If not, you'll be like the normal people that wake up by 6. You understand? So I feel we have to start looking at, because our politicians, most of them, that's when they do their biddings.
Well, we're definitely going to use that proverb today on our edition of 60 Minutes. But now let's talk. We'll be talking about structures put in place, and we're looking outside the country. But let's now bring things a bit closer. We have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. already in place, and of course there are certain aspects of it that are being fine-tuned. But then we now have the issue of some
Countries breaking
nations
out.
breaking out
Yes,
within
like
from
the
the
Mali and
ECOWAS and
yes,
things like that.
and Niger.
So now, how do we reconcile? How do you reconcile the AFCFTA agreement with these breakaway countries?
For
How
me,
does it affect us?
For me, I think we are the problem. I
Right.
must say that, yeah, Nigeria is the problem because if you go to other countries, like the francophone speaking countries, like once you enter Benin Republic, they use the same currency. Down to Ivory Coast, you drive down to Mali, they still use CFA. So they have a somewhat consolidated economy.
Correct.
You understand? As compared to West Africa, it's just we and Ghana. And Ghana, because Ghana is in between these francophone speaking countries, they are almost running the same economy. Almost they are balanced. We started becoming balanced recently in this government. I must give credit to this government. Balance in terms of currency. So I feel one of the reasons why Nigeria couldn't meet up with that free trade within the African region. You know, we are one of the last countries that signed that. They were waiting. Other 40-something countries have accepted. Nigeria was waiting. So I feel we just signed it, but our economy is not stable enough to play a fair game. If we start allowing them bringing goods here, Nigerian place will be flooded. Our youth will not be able to. So I feel we still have to do internal works from the structural part of our government, like you mentioned. How do we structure this so that it will not affect competitive, movement of goods and services? For example, now the Niger people, because of they now impose 0.5% on every goods that comes from Nigeria. They are not the one imposing tax on us. Why we are the ones that are supposed to? They are supposed to be. Yeah,
To run the show.
yeah, we have the good economy. We have Nigeria is stronger than them in almost every aspect. But because we're not playing a fair game, they don't look at. So I don't know. I think I would give credit to the French government that helped them build those structures. So even now, this is our tax law to generate revenue. We are still working with the French government. So we have to look at these people. I don't think the problem is from the other countries, from Nigeria. I think yes.
Nigeria.
Yeah.
If I do agree with that, I mean, that was quite a blow. That it's our fault. I'd love to hear your
We are the
take on
last
that.
to sign the agreement.
Yeah, just like you said, everyone have their issues. The thing there is that in Africa, I would say we still have a lot of division amongst us. We've not understood our strength. One thing is when you go to, just like you mentioned, when you go to Asia, you notice how they don't have those currency discrepancies.
Yes.
But in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole, every country is trying to, say, this is my own, and which is not supposed to be so. So what this trade is doing is more like opening that doors that we can be able to transact with our currencies, transact with our goods. Everything is going around, even in tourism, in business, and everything. But like you mentioned, in some of these countries, you see, especially the francophone countries, they still respect the currency going around. But in Nigeria, the naira is something that the moment you live here, only a few countries will allow you to do any trade. You have to, even within the Africa, you have to change to
The dollar.
dollars or to their own local, which is a big problem. So we have to start strengthening our own economy, which is really being strengthened. And like I said, that's why I give it to this government. Most of the things they are doing, why I love them is they are trying to put structure.
Yes.
If you're somebody who is sensitive to process and structure, you'll be able to benefit. But if you're somebody who is looking for a quick fix, you might not be able to benefit. So by the time they put all these things, like you've seen, they have linked our NIN, our BVN.
Yes.
Your NIN is now your tax identification
Very,
number.
very good.
So
Yeah.
all those kind of things, when you're able to be traced through those processes, you can now go to another place and maybe with your card, with anything, you do things, transactions freely. You'll be able to use their banking system or have partnered easily. But when you are not traced, like for example, there are some people, even as Nigerians in Nigeria, no data. You can't find their place of birth.
Can't
You
track
don't
them.
know their parents. You don't know their siblings. How do you do business with
yes.
that kind of people? So if you have that track record, that's why you see abroad, you see somebody very lazy doing nothing. But then because the system has taken note of their record,
Social services can
Exactly.
Yeah, you have access
They
to
have
many
access
things.
to
Even as students,
certain
we had
things.
access to things
You
as
understand?
foreign
Because
students.
they've taken that record. They have your record in their system. They can trace you. They can trace your background. They
Even
have
your health
everything.
records.
That allows them to give you certain leverages. But in Nigeria here, it's just of recent we started having that
the
kind of.
foundation is just
Yeah,
being
so
built.
I think as you're strengthening it, gradually it will start taking shape with other African countries. We'll be able to, that
Well,
free trade would
well,
work very well.
We're definitely on the way there.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
as you've mentioned, of course, with it starts with basically with data. We need a lot. There's a lot about to do with
Consolidation of
data
data, yes.
before we can now begin to make.
Even
predictions.
when we're talking about data, even the census, the numbers are still wrong. Yes, the numbers are still wrong. There are
Very
a lot
wrong.
of people who we don't know are here,
Are in the country.
born every
Yes.
day, no record, no hospital records. And most of the people who even do the hospital records are still analog. You go to them because I did a job on archiving. I was working with a digital management company, and you go even as big as some of our organizations. I wouldn't want to
data,
mention
yes.
name, government. They still are analog. You go and want to get data, and the papers are torn, wet,
prone to
spoiled.
distortions.
So
Yes.
how do you keep records?
That's why office is born after
So
election.
We're cutting that out.
So it's very important for us to look into that data, and that's what this government is trying to do. Make sure if they see you, once they key in your name, they can find out about you, know your address.
Yes.
That's why they tell you make sure your address matches so that they can trace you
And even track you to other countries.
Okay, there is this project that I'm part of. It's called IDS TVET.
Yes.
It's a vocational agricultural training, and the way the World Bank is, following up with the Ministry
The
of
data
Education,
collection, yes.
it's data.
Oh, yeah.
You must show your source code, your bank